The animals, the plants we see around us. A study has proved that we all share the same DNA, which means we all had the same ancestor. The dogs in your street, the flower on your pot, the birds in the sky, they're all our long lost cousins. A human brain has always surprised me in the ways it can work. We humans, we think we are in control. We think we see everything. We understand everything. In reality, we are caged in our own minds by our own instincts and emotions. In reality, our brain is controlling everything and we are trying to play the part of a rebel. You must have heard that we use only 10% of our brain. But that's nothing but a movie fiction that some people took for a fact. According to a survey, about 65% of Americans believe that we actually use only 10% of our brain after watching a movie. In reality, 100% of our brain is working actively all the time we are awake. But it doesn't mean that we are in control. Our brain is programmed to do several functions. When something is stuck in your nose, your brain makes your nose sneeze. You can only try and be a rebel and try to stop the sneeze by clearing the nose yourself or start breathing with your mouth to fool your brain that the breathing isn't blocked. Same way with coughing. You cannot order your brain to stop this command of sneezing. It is in your brain. But that part of brain works apart from you. That part of our brain is working on autopilot mode. When you're cold, brain makes your body shiver to generate heat. When it's hot, it releases sweat to cool you down. You don't order your blood to clot a wound. Your brain does. The feeling of touch to let you know that you're physically in contact with something. The feeling of pain that makes you so uncomfortable trying to scream at you. Something is wrong with your body. Do something about it. The emotions of feeling happy when you find something good. The feeling of pain when you lose it. Your brain is trying to tell you not to lose it if it makes you happy. The feeling of misery, curiosity, loneliness, the feeling of love. It's all done by our brain and we cannot do anything about it. Although some people who practice meditation for years claim they can gain a control over that unreachable part of our brain too. And I believe that because I practice meditation myself to calm the storms of my brain. The way our brain is working on an autopilot mode, animal brain is working on it more than ours. The human needs to be taught how to communicate. A human needs to be taught how to walk. A human needs to be taught how to build its house. A human needs to be taught what to eat and what not to. A human needs to be taught how to swim. A human needs to be taught how to reproduce. Like I myself as a kid, I really thought that God makes small human babies and send them to on earth. But an animal exactly know what to do, even if you grow it up in a lab. Take a healthy mushroom and a poisonous one and put it in front of an animal. The animal will know which one's poisonous even if it never saw either of those mushrooms in its life. Because that information that we need to study in our books is already coded in its brain. We humans, we eat poisonous ones too, and then we die. And then another human add that mushroom's name in an encyclopedia in poisonous mushroom section. A bird knows exactly what it needs to build its nest, and it makes it so amazingly. Grow up a hornet in a lab and then set it free. It's gonna go find mud and put it on a tree or a wall and make a house. A bee knows the exact engineering to build its hive. An ant knows all the teamwork and labor to dig their hive. If I push you in the river, you're gonna drown and die unless you've learned how to swim before. Take a 1 or 2 month old puppy who never even had a shower, leave it in a river, and it's gonna start swimming as a professional swimmer like he's been training for months. A dolphin knows it can hunt in cooperation with sharks. A spider knows the exact design of the web it has to make. A snake knows it has to find rats and rabbits, burrow and holes and live in it after eating them. A cuckoo bird is not evil. Its brain is coded to push other birds' eggs off the nest and lay its own in there. The cockroach that lives in your windowless kitchen has never seen sunlight. Make it pitch black in there in daytime and it still won't come out. Wait for the night. It will come out even if the LED light is on. Even in a very cloudy, stormy night, birds start chirping around 5 a.m. There's no way they could have known the time. I wake up in my room sometimes wondering if it's day or not, if it's sunrise or sunset. Those animals have an inbuilt clock inside their brains that works more accurately than any electronic clock we humans ever made. A mother cat exactly know how to care for her kitten. A human takes classes in pregnancy to learn the right way of dealing with the baby with care. I've seen human mothers kill their child right after their birth. And I've seen an 80-year-old woman crying for her son because she's missing him. Humans have more free will of making decisions on parts where an animal brain is coded to perform a specific task. The same way an animal's brain is already coded with the most of the informations acquired for living, it is also coded with the knowledge of who to follow. An ant is coded to find its queen ant and follow it for the rest of its life. Same for honeybees. A wolf seeks an alpha. A sheep is coded to follow the one right in front of it. A dog is coded to seek a human owner. Monkeys are coded to follow a king. A fish doesn't need to be taught to follow another. It is coded to follow the rest. Now the cat family. Lions, tigers, panther, even our domestic cats are coded to know that they are the king that dominates the area. Now you understand why every cat is full of attitude, because she is a queen by nature. The same way, animals are already coded with the knowledge of everything necessary for life, but humans are left with choices. A human brain is coded with the concept of God and the free will of choices, who he's gonna choose as his God. A human brain is made in a more free way, a freedom to explore, a freedom to see things as they are, a freedom of curiosity of everything they see, a freedom to think what happens backstage, a freedom to question everything, and a brain intelligent enough to find all the answers. A human is smart enough to tell that the humans he sees around aren't capable to have made the world as it is right now. So that leaves us in a curiosity. How is it all made? And that curiosity is strong enough to drive a man insane. And the concept of God is a relief. Let's start from the beginning. Humans saw sun coming up and going down with a perfect cycle lighting up the world. What is sun? There was no way they could have figured it out back then. So they're left with two choices now. Either go insane thinking about it or say it's God. But then science kicks in and says, you're wrong. That's a huge planet on fire. Then humans saw fire. What is this sorcery? They called it God. Science kicks in again. They learned it's just a form of energy. It can be built by rubbing stones. They saw lightning. They saw clouds. They saw rain. They had no idea how it all happens. So the answer, God does it. How does tree grows? God grows them to feed us. Human ask, why hasn't there been any rain? God is mad at us. How to make him happy then? Let's sacrifice people. Science again. No, stupid. Your deforestation is what caused the drought. Everything that humans once claimed to be God has been explained by science what it really is. They said sun is God. Science explained it's a star. Then they said, alright, then who revolves the sun around our planet? God. Science explained the magnetic force causing all the rotations and revolutions of all the planets of our galaxy. They again say, who made sun then? God did it. And then Stephen Hawking answered with the Big Bang Theory. But then recently, some scientists claim that it's not really sure if the Big Bang Theory is true or not. And so many scientists are spending sleepless nights trying to figure out where our universe really came from. And now, you are left with the same choice that the Stone Age man with fire in front of him was left with. Come contribute your brain in finding the reality with us. Or say it's God. And put your mind at peace. Kill all your imaginations and curiosity. Answer all your questions by one word, God. And live a life in a relieving lie. Napoleon Bonaparte, man that turned many civilizations into Catholic, wrote, "Religion is what keeps the poor from killing the rich." And after his death, those Catholics followed that religion and their next generation are still following it to this day. As you know that human brain was coded with a free will of choices, they're not always good. It gave them freedom to kill another human, hurt them, cheat them, lie, steal, rape, murder. And back then, there were no laws and not enough guards to protect people. And even if the ruler is maintaining the law in his kingdom, who will stop the ruler from doing something so evil if he feels like it? Religion. Some smart humans of back in those days used the concept of God in our brain and created small religions in which all the bad things were written under the section of sins. There wasn't any way to scare them from doing those sins, so they created the concept of heaven and hell, saying you will be punished for all your crimes after you're dead. But then the politics took over. People changed religion and used them for their own political benefits. And then the religion that was supposed to make this world a safe place turned it into a war zone. Our world is at a point now where most of the countries have a working law and order. If we give the time we are wasting on the concept of God in maintaining law, and instead of taking a stand and fighting for a religion, take a stand against crime, I'm sure we won't even need a religion. But anyway, religion is not a small topic to talk about. So I just said a small part here. I'll be talking briefly about it in our upcoming parts. Till then, if you have any questions, ask. All your questions will be answered. There are so many people who are suffering depression and mental stress, and you must have heard that in the end, they learned about any one of those religions out there, found their God, and came over all their depression, loneliness, hopelessness. Why? Our brains aren't made to be fine with loneliness. When we believe in God, we never feel alone. We think God is everywhere we go. We even talk to it when we feel lonely and that feeling that someone's listening, someone so powerful, our maker, someone who loves us, someone who will accept us even when nobody does. When we're feeling hopeless, depressed, when everything seems to be falling apart, when every logic says everything will be bad, word God is a hope. To believe that someone will still save us, someone to pray to, someone that may listen and make everything alright by its powers. A simple human nature is blaming someone else when everything is bad for relief, even if it's no one's fault. When they can't find answer to why things are this way, how the world came to this point, why their lives are so miserable, why they're in pain, they put the blame on God. They ask God, what have I done to deserve this? What did a 3-year-old girl did to deserve a death by rape? What those people did wrong that were burned alive on name of religions? This world isn't a fair place. But go ahead. If truth is too hard for you to accept, go ahead. Pick one of those religions out in the market and say, every injustice of this world will be punished in another world. It's easy to lie to yourself for comfort. Go ahead and do it. My father used to say all we need to do is fool our mind. When you feel like there is a monster in the room, just hide in the blanket and you'll feel safe. Even though if there's really a monster, how can a blanket save you from it? Logically, the monster will just pull off the blanket and kill you. But it's all about fooling our brains. God is your blanket. Monster are all the problems and everything that is wrong in this world. You can either deal with the problem or hide under the name of God, hoping God will fix everything. And now the world is falling apart. The concept that was coded in our brains to save us from miseries and loneliness is driving people away from each other now. Studies have told women and men all have the same brain, the same way of thinking. But our religions has infected the entire world with a sick mentality of inequality. Islam says they're stupid. All religions work so hard on making a woman seem so forbidden, sacred, disgusting, an object to protect and use, a property to win and lose. It has drawn us so apart that I've seen many men getting surprised to know that a woman have orgasm, that a woman enjoys sex too, that a woman has fantasies and desires. And when a woman show it, she's called a whore. Religions that claims to spread love has divided people in ways hatred never could. God that was coded in our brains to show us hope in dark times is turning our world in a very dark place. The love we were supposed to give each other, the devotion we had to make this world a better place, it's all wasted upon the concept of God in our brain, something that isn't even real. We are humans. Our brain was made to think off-road, but with this concept of God, we have turned our lives into playing a specific task, like an animal is programmed to perform the same task. We are here at this point today. We have turned ourselves into machinery that wakes up in the morning, perform all our tasks, and go back to sleep on time. And we just keep repeating it every day and every night. We are eating depression pills and sleeping pills to kill our emotions and feelings. Getting high on alcohol to relieve the mind of all the stress that was supposed to be relieved by love. We are cutting ourselves off from each other and filling that emptiness with the word God. We are slowly killing ourselves inside. We have turned our own abilities into cages that has put us in these systems that slowly turned us into animals again. Our education system, politics, religions, we even turned our freedom of loving into feelingless chains of marriage. We have turned ourselves into robots. We changed the world into a very systematic but a feelingless place. A place where even feelings are being sold. A person goes through pain. He writes a poetry about it. Some writer pick it up and convert it in a song, and then that person's precious emotions are sold in the market for money. The more it touches people, the more money it makes. We have turned this world into a market where all your skills, talents, feelings, even death is being sold with a price tag on it. No one is caring for anyone here. But when they die, people are making their paintings, talking all good things about them, making YouTube videos on them because the death is trending now. There's so many evil things going on all over the world, but no one will even look at them because they can't sell it. No one will buy a book that teaches us how to save our environment, while a book of conspiracy of Hitler's death will become the best-selling book. No one will fight against rapists unless it's a trend. There will be riots and wars between two religions. No one will even think about how to be there for others. But they will pay thousands to go to a personality development class. We're reading and watching stuff that says how to make a relationship work. We have caged even our love into a set of rules of relationship that must be followed right. If not, the person will leave you because it wasn't really love. It was a system of relationship humans created and now trying to follow and teaching others to follow the same. Humans don't even care about love anymore. They're all trying to find who's more beneficial for them instead of looking for who's more loving to them. When there's an issue, people are finding it easier to leave the person than to try and solve the problem. Everyone is so self-centered here that love yourself is in a trend because they know for sure no one else will love them. The word love has almost become a myth in this world, and hatred so real. What has happened to humanity? We are slowly turning ourselves into animals. We were not made for this. Every kid was born a pure-hearted human, but as it grows, humans throw him into this system that converts a human into a robot, which is not much different than an animal. An animal is coded to perform every task of its life. Humans had a brain with a free will, so they created a system that turned them back into an animal that performs the task it was born for in the specific way it is made to be performed in till it die. Pick up history. People who let their curiosities flow off apart from the system. People who thought about things with the free will of a human mind are the ones that has developed our world to where it is right now. The screen you're watching this video on, the headphones you're listening my voice through, this internet connection that made it possible for me to reach out to all of you while sitting in a room, it was all created by people who lived their lives as a human was meant to live. when a kid was suffering domestic violence by his mentally ill father. He was locked up in an empty room with no food, no water for days along with his mother and sister. They prayed, they begged for an angel to come and save them. No one ever came. People in the neighborhood heard their voices, heard their screams outside, but no one ever came. A baby girl that was born and looked at her mother was taken away from her and buried alive under the ground. She tried to cry, kept hoping that my mother would come and take me out of here now. No one ever came and she died. A shivering, cold, hungry, homeless person on a sidewalk of streets prays all night to God for someone to save him. No angels ever came. Next day, a vehicle came to pick up his dead body. People are tortured for months before they're killed. People suffering depression are begging other people to at least talk to them, but no one even cares to look at them till they kill themselves after losing a war with their brain they were on for years that they were hiding under a smile. No God, no angel came for the screams of a girl being raped on a silent road. She prayed, she begged, she cried. No God ever came. Later she was set on fire and left to burn alive for the night. I wasn't brought up in a rich family. While going to college, I barely have 10 rupees in my pocket for lunch. Many times I spend that in feeding someone who needs food more than me because nobody cares. People see an animal in pain, a weak person getting bullied, a human in hunger, someone getting beaten up by a mob. They just stand by and watch and say, God will save him. No God ever come to save them. They all die a horrible death. I got all my clothes dirty saving animals, and later I saw the same people who stand by and watch, laughing at my dirty clothes. I protected kids from bullies. I alone fought 5 or 6 kids who were older than me to save someone. And later, the principal asked me, why did you even get in it if it wasn't your fight? I never had enough money for my own self, but I always gave it to someone who seems to need it more than me. People always say, you're supposed to care for yourself before others. I guess I'm just not made that way. And I believe if we all stop saying God will save them to comfort ourselves and go in there, do what we can for them, I believe we can be the God they've been praying for years to come and save them. I have seen people finding their God in their parents. I've seen people finding an angel in their savior. I've seen people finding God in the ones they love. I feel more love, faith, admiration, and devotion to the human I love than any of you ever felt for your God. I found my God, my religion in the person I love. I believed in God. I believed in God and religions as a kid, but no God mattered to me more than my parents even back then. I've seen people finding God in people, and that is the purest form of God there can be. So break these chains of your own mind. We can restore love between human to human, a beauty this world was created upon, a faith in humanity in this world all over again, together. Who are we then? Where did we come from? Should people with weak mind follow religions? What is religion then? How so many believed in it if it was a lie? So you're saying everything came out to be this way so perfectly on its own? There's no meaning of our lives? No motives? What is going on in this world anyway? Who are we? Why are we here? What is this self-conscious feeling we feel inside us? What happens to us after we're dead? We can't just end like nothing after that. And many more questions popping up in your head right now. But I can't answer them all in one video. All your questions will be answered, but everything can't be put in this one video. So this is the end of part 1. So if you agree to me, follow me. I've already started working on part 2 and it's coming out really soon. And there's many more to come after that. Ask your questions, share your doubts. All your questions will be answered in the next video. Of course, there are many things you disagree on with me. So comment all your questions below. I will not ignore any one of you. Everyone's questions will be answered. If you don't want your question to be seen publicly, mail me on this email address. I'll leave it in my description too. Let your curiosity flow. Question everything, and I assure you, all your questions will be answered.